It ain't easy being a man these days. Hard to even say for sure what a man is. A provider, a lover, maybe even a hero. One thing's for sure. A journey towards being whatever a real man should be doesn't need to be done alone. The Gentlementor are here to help you navigate that, so you never have to go alone.
Yeah, I'm shunning the news even more after this last couple of weeks. I'm just like, I went on kind of I don't know if you want to call it a self-help thing. I'm trying to delve into this creation of a positive self-image thing,
Mm.
and getting away from the negativity that is so inherent within myself. And so I've been kind
Ah.
of reading some stuff about that. And one of the things was like, stop ingesting negative media, like no bad news. Like so, like I've put myself on a pretty strict diet media wise of what I'm
Well,
watching
good.
for like a
Good
week.
for
And
you.
it does actually help because it was really getting to be a drag. I
I
mean, and not
think.
just like the government shit and all that, but like the crime stuff and like people murdering people heinously and just the,
Yeah.
you know, the
Yeah, because
overall.
that's all there is. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems that way. And then I woke up this morning. It's a beautiful morning. The sun's out. The sky's beautiful. It's just like, oh man, what a great day to start the week. And just like, yeah, it's like a week of like clearing that part of my diet of intake, just of that
Mm.
stuff. It's
Mm.
made such an improvement.
So
Vastly.
here you go, segue. I like what you said about your intake, what you're ingesting causes you to think about yourself. You may have to repeat that exact words, but what you said was just it was perfect. It goes along with my notes of what I want to talk about
Well, don't start yet. We haven't
in
done an
this
intro.
episode. So with that, hey everyone, welcome to the Gentlementor. We're so excited that you've joined us here on
Woo!
our manly podcast. We're so grateful
So
for you. Thanks,
manly.
thanks for joining the community of men and people,
Here's to
mostly
you.
men, hopefully men, all over the globe. And we're just here to help kind of figure life out and do it together because you shouldn't be doing it alone. So, so glad that you're here. Hey, we're on the social media stuff. Please hop in there and
Hit the
like us,
social
follow us. We don't
media.
normally ask for that. Really, what we want you to do is communicate with us because we want to hear
Yeah.
from you. Yeah, you can like us if you want. That's fine.
Yeah.
But
If you want to subscribe, totally
what
cool, but no
more
pressure.
right? But more important than a subscribe or a like is your voice, and
It's
that's
the
really what we want to hear.
conversation.
So
Right on.
yeah, so type something up, whatever, just a little comment, say hey,
Say some
or if you want to
words.
send the little wave emoji, we're cool with that. So we're on the Instagram, TikTok,
Love a good
YouTube,
emoji.
BitChute. We'd love to hear from you. So
A
with
meme. If you
that, we're
want to
talking
share a
about.
meme.
Oh yeah, share a meme because we
There
love
are
memes.
people on our Instagram that will like send memes and video clips and stuff. So
That's
that's cool.
great.
I love that. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
great
yeah,
place to interact. But you
yeah.
were saying
So we
something.
see.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying because we're talking about change because we're your change agency for this summer. Were you gonna say
No,
change?
I was gonna sing it. I sing it every week, but I won't.
Oh, okay. So with that, talking about your self-image or what okay, so here's the thing. This is what I read. I'm gonna read this statement
Read the
and it's
statement.
and it's gonna hopefully propel us into
Mark,
a
I think you've prepared something you'd like to read.
I have prepared something I would like to
Please,
read to everyone
the floor
tonight.
is yours.
And hopefully
And
that this statement will
two of the
spark
walls. The floor and
will
two of the walls.
just two, huh? Hopefully this statement will spark a menagerie of conversation that will bring growth to
A
people
collection of
everywhere.
animals of conversation.
A plethora.
The other two walls, they go with the ceiling. It's just structural.
Oh, okay.
That's why you can only
Oh,
have
really?
two.
I see that. I didn't
Got to
realize
have at
that. I
least two
didn't.
to hold the ceiling up. I don't want you getting crushed in there.
Oh, okay. All right. So, but I have to have the one with the floor. Huh? So.
Did someone call for a digress? That's why I'm here.
Okay. All right. So when it comes to change, we want to change. We have a lot of trouble changing. There
We're
are things
assuming
about
if
us.
you're still with us at this point that you said yes in the flow chart we started at episode
Right.
one.
Right. Episode 1 said if you
Yeah,
don't want to
if
change,
you
this
don't
is not
want to
your
change,
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
listen to
which is fine because you're going to have to change anyway. Some things are going to change. You're just going to have to do it without us, and
lots
maybe
of
you can,
podcasts on lots of topics.
and
So
you
many
can
other
find one.
choices you
Yes,
have.
yeah. So find a good murder mystery and one that doesn't talk about change. So here you go. Here's our habits, the things that we do, the things that we want to change, especially. And this goes along with exactly what you were saying. You prophesied this. Here we go. Are you ready?
Glory.
You do what you do because of what you think of you. You do what you do because of what you think of you. So you were talking about, not ingesting the negativity in your life, negative news, negative feeds or whatever, stories, whatever. And so, but you do that. That was a habit based on what you thought of yourself.
I would agree. I would add one small caveat and say that another
Okay.
thing is also what we think others think of us.
Mm. I've got lots of notes
Which
here.
which I can just take care of that right here and just go.
We're going to whip through these notes in one
if that's
episode.
what you're doing, is looking at yourself through the eyes of other people, cut that out.
But
Done. Back to what you were saying.
okay, but here's what you think of yourself. That all goes back to what you think of yourself. You think of yourself as someone who needs affirmation,
Yeah,
who needs
well,
acceptance.
if you think about how twisted it is, that's man, that is probably one of the greatest sources of human misery. Is our I don't know if it's impulsive, I don't know if it's intrinsic. We have this thing we do, and we're always trying to like guess or see how other people see us.
Yes.
And it's such a miserable endeavor, and I
Right.
just implore anyone doing it.
And
I've done it too. It's not a condemnation. You're not a bad person.
no,
Stop doing that to yourself.
stop. You have to. And you've heard that. I don't know when that saying came out that, you whatever it is, when you always wonder what other people thinking about you, and the fact is they're not.
Yeah.
That's decades ago. I remember learning that in high school or somebody, and it was like, oh, wow, they're not thinking
It's a
about
pretty
me.
advanced high school.
Yeah, really.
Like,
No,
how
I mean
many
it was
keggers can we get in tonight?
it was one of those self-help guys that would come in. You're like, hey, assembly, yeah, and it's just some guy telling you how to live your
love
life with,
those.
yeah.
Love those. We had some great ones too.
And then it
Love
was some lady
those.
talking about sex
Here's
one
the
time. It's
day.
like,
Here's the
what?
day I hated walking into school. It's the day when you walk into school and you smell the rubbing alcohol. And
And
it's
the
like
day you walk in and what?
you smell rubbing alcohol. Did you? I don't know if you had this. And like when we were in a smaller town, so the school's like a main hub.
Right.
Vaccination day. Like you walk in and the whole building smelled
yeah.
like rubbing alcohol. And
Yeah.
it was like immediately want to turn and run back out the door
Yeah.
and go hide for the day. Come back
Yeah,
tomorrow.
there's an interesting topic for a podcast. Yeah, the days where you weren't even asked or your parents weren't even told, and you walked into the nurse's office, everybody filed in and got a shot.
Yeah, you lined up in the hall. And
Yeah,
like,
that's
oh,
why my
man.
mother-in-law
And you
was
waited to see
so
if you were getting a
yeah,
shot this year or not. Oh, man,
and
that
that's
was
why
horrible.
my mother-in-law was one of the first people in line to get her COVID shot. And we were both, my wife and I were just like, wait, shouldn't she just kind of wait? And she's like,
No, you
well,
just
I
got us a
remember in
warning
school.
tag on our video.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. So anyway, so I guess the question is, because now there's three reasons I think behind what we do. And of course it's because of what we think of ourselves. But the three reasons are: number one, we feel obligated.
Mhm.
Number two, we just really want to. And then number three is what you said: we want to be accepted. We continue to do the things we want to because we want other people's accepted. We want to be seen. We want to be heard, or whatever.
Yeah, I would say self-image is kind of the base coat for all three of those. I mean,
Right.
that's where that all starts, is kind of how
Right.
you feel about yourself, and then the added context or perspective those provide.
Mm-hmm. So there's so much rich stuff here.
Bring it on. I'm
I
drooling.
just don't want to move too fast. I don't want to move too fast.
I feel like we're pacing it well. I feel like we're moving smoothly and evenly. We're not dragging. We're trucking along.
We're trucking along. So when a situation comes up for us to make a decision about what we want to do in life, there are three, I think, typical things, and from my research, three typical things that we need to ask ourselves when we come into a situation. The first one is great, and I love this. And the first question you need to ask yourself is, what type of person am I?
Ooh.
And that just all around is a great way to go. You know what type of person am I? I decided this week, yesterday, I decided that I'm going to be the type of person that gets up before or when my alarm goes off at 6 a.m. I've struggled for a long time, and I've had sleeping issues and whatnot, and so that
Understood.
conveys a lot of it. So a lot of the sleeping issues, and so if I'm going to be the type of, I decided I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to be a guy who gets up every morning when or before his alarm goes off. This morning I got up an hour before my alarm went off. Thank you.
But had you been asleep?
Thank you.
Or
I
is
had
it you're just still in your insomnia from the night
because
before?
no, but because all of that, it works backwards. Okay, so if I'm going to do that,
Eventually,
that means I've got to be in bed by a certain time and hopefully be asleep by a certain time. So that means I got to shut off the TV, got to shut off the phone, whatever. You're not supposed to have screens an hour before bed anyway, but that's tough to do. So
Yes.
but I have to be intentional about the pregame, I guess, or the warm up in order for me to perform at that moment and wake up and get up. And when the alarm goes off, I have
You
to.
need like some sleep foreplay.
Exactly. Yeah. Watch it.
Yeah.
We'll get banned for that too. No,
On
nobody
a
cares
highly
about that anymore.
controversial episode of The Gentlementor.
Foreplay. For sleep.
For sleep.
For sleep. Oh, too many things go through my head.
Okay.
So yeah, so you have to ask what kind of person are you? Are you the type of person that gets mad every time something happens? Are you the type of person? I'm not saying you, Doug. I'm
Okay.
just saying in
Rhetorical.
general.
Theoretical.
Yeah, this is theoretical. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, the boot fits. But anyway, so you just have to decide. And I think that's where, and I'll go back to James Clear's book that we quote probably every week. That vote, what you do is the vote for who you want to be. So,
Yeah.
but the first thing you have to do is decide, what kind of guy am I going to be? Am I going to be the faithful to my wife guy? Am I going to be the not getting drunk in public guy? Or whatever it is.
Because failing to plan is planning to fail. You got to have a roadmap. You got to have a blueprint. You got to make that decision.
Absolutely.
It will never happen by luck.
No.
You will never just accidentally become a thing you want to become.
Nope.
Oops.
You can't sit there and go,
Hey,
I hope.
You know what happened today? I play guitar.
Yeah.
Just picked
You
one
just can't.
up.
You just can't go, hey, I hope someday I'm going to play the banjo. I knew a guy in my life who was like, I'm going to play the piano. I'm going to play the piano. In fact, he bought 2 pianos and they sat in his closet, and a fiddle and a banjo. And they sat in his closet.
2 banjos.
2 banjos. And they sat in his closet because he was like, I'm going to be a musician. Well, okay. Gonna be is all he ever was.
It never osmosis.
Nope. It never did.
I think that's what he was shooting for. I thought maybe like having it right there would build the excitement.
I think so. I think you're probably right.
But I think a lot of people think that. I think that's the same attitude that puts a lot of Pelotons in a lot of houses. If I get this thing, that's we had so many exercise devices, and we found out that they were all secretly clothing racks. Every single exercise device that my parents ever owned just became another thing to hang clothes on. And it's like, if you won't do it without the machine, you ain't going to do it.
No.
That's the first part of the plan. This is great. I thought of this week, and I'm like, I hope we get a chance to put this in somewhere. The planning to fail and failing to plan. We talked last week about kind of setting yourself up to fail for things. Like, I quit smoking, but I bought a pack of cigarettes to carry around with me just in case. And it's like, oh, well, I wonder how that'll turn out. and not having a plan is failing to prepare, preparing to fail. You're not going to make it anywhere. Next thing, this thing. We kind of brushed up against this inadvertently last week. We was talking about lifting weights and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like, One of my strategies that I've really learned about myself was, first of all, I learned I'm not a multitasker. That's a lie. And
It is a lie. There's no
most of the
such
people
thing
I
as
know who think
multitasking.
they are not. So I don't know if I
I've
agree
had that
with it.
argument with some people that I work
But
with.
I decided what I really needed to do was try to simplify things so I could make my focus more focusy, make my
Hmm.
intention more intentiony.
Focusy.
Yeah,
Hone in.
clear the clutter.
Yeah.
And so, like, simplify the way that you do what you need to do. The example I will use is with working out, with lifting weights. I do not go to a gym because that's automatically this open door to excuses for why I can't do that today, or
Hmm.
because of this, or X,
Hmm.
Y, Z. The weights I need, the weights I lift are in my house. There is no excuse. Because I planned that way, I eliminated excuses.
Yep.
Because I work out the way I work out, which is very Spartan. I don't have machinery. I have like just kettlebells. That's it.
Yep.
Just a couple. And it's all about not moving quick necessarily, but eliminating the, oh, now I got to reset the weights and put this clamp on and do this and get on the bench and make sure my position is about keeping in motion, keeping that momentum going.
Yeah.
But it's all planned that way. This new thing that I've been talking to you about. Like I said, we talked about this on the trip because we talked about reinventing ourselves, and I'm like,
Hmm.
this is the part that's going to be the hairiest. And I told my wife this kicked off in the last couple of weeks, like trying to take this part of me on. I'm like, oh, I had no idea. This guy's a bastard. I really dislike him. And it's like trying to root that party out, but it starts with that plan and that intentionality, because the
Hmm.
first step before you got to lay all that groundwork and preparation before you get to step one. And step one is watching yourself think. And it's
Ooh.
simultaneously the most monotonous thing to do because you've seen it all before. And it's also the easiest place to trip you up because any little thing can slip in there and just drag you down a hallway of thoughts, and you're somewhere you don't even want to be.
Mm.
And so I kind of started talking to you. We talked a little bit about this deal since this most recent deal that occurred in my life personally. There's been a lot of that self-doubt, internal stuff. And it's like, I guess it was whatever day of the February the 1st was. And we were coming home. And I'm like, I started to kind of feel like coming up out of that fog and kind of starting to feel some forward momentum. This is the 1st
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
February. The 2nd of February
Yep. Here it comes.
was oh dude, it was like taking cannon fire.
Hmm.
It was like there's no way you've got this much left. There's no way. And it was attrition again, but it's the same game. It's just like now you got to be able to do this under heavier fire. You got to be able to have like hot volleys of rockets coming over your head and go, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
That's why it's so
You know
important to
it's
know.
real. You know it's not real. You know what's true and what's not. But
Right.
you know the real truth is get caught in your emotions, lose.
Ooh. And that's why it's so important that we have to know who we are. What kind of person am I? What kind of man am I?
That blueprint, that plan of who you want to be is step one. You got
And
that. You
guess
can't go
what?
anywhere.
Who's that? Who gets to decide what that is?
That's the most fun of the whole thing.
That's you do.
You have your quote you do about picking up your pen and writing your book or however that goes. Do that one. That's a great one.
Oh, about fate is a terrible writer.
Yeah, yeah,
Write your
yeah,
own
yeah,
story.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah.
this
Fate.
is great.
Yeah, you can't leave it to fate. You have to write your own story. You have to pen your own story. When I coach people in their in their business and in their lives, when we get to their life thing, we always start with the obituary. That's the first place you start. You start, what's your obituary look like? And I think we talked about that one time about, we need to have like a once a year get bros together and have a verbal obituary and say
Yes.
what we would say at your funeral while we're still alive and still there, because then it gives you an idea of going, wait a minute, I like that, or I want more of that, or I want less of that. And then you get to decide because you get to write that blueprint. I want to go back to what you said about the biggest hurdle is getting over or is your self thinking. What do you say? Battling your own thoughts or something you
Mm.
said about watching yourself think. That's what you said.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I wanted to quote a very um, wise person who said, and his name is Pete Mitchell. And he said, don't think, just do. Pete Mitchell, he's character played by Tom Cruise in the movie Top Gun.
No, you lost me there. I'm glad you did
I
that.
thought I had you there for a minute. Yeah, you were like, "Ooh, Pete Mitchell." He's new.
Mitchell.
Oh, okay.
Play third
Yeah.
base for Pittsburgh. Like I
Yeah, no, he says that. He said it in all the movies. He goes, those of you who watch the Top Gun fans like I am, he says, if you're up there and you think you're dead, you have to do. But here's the thing that they leave out in that movie, which if you're a pilot or especially a fighter pilot, you have created so many habits. So if there's a habit, an alarm goes off, you have a habit of adjusting it. When you look down an instrument and you see something's wrong, there's a habit of adjusting it immediately because they know who they are. They're pilots and they know where that plane is supposed to be and what kind of attitude that plane is supposed to be in so they can make adjustments. So they know what they are. So those are the habits they've already formed. So when he says, because you say, don't think, everybody tells you, use your head. You got to think. Yeah, you got to think, but you got to think in advance.
Yeah.
What am I going to do when this happens? Because it's going to happen. Yeah. What am I going to do when this alarm goes off at 6 a.m.?
It's too late. Isn't that how it goes?
Right.
You wait until it's time, it's too late. I've told people over and over, that's the critical skill in musicianship. That's what you're doing. I'm playing this note here, but really I'm looking ahead on the music to the next thing because I got to already know what that is or I'll be too late if I wait until I get there.
Exactly.
There's always this kind of looking ahead. It's that headlight phenomenon. In fact, you talked about the obituary thing, and that was like the day that was so bad. That was my overwhelming impulse. It's like I don't just have a single pattern here. I have an overwhelmingly negative flow of thought, just on everything and especially on myself. So I'm trying to stem that tide. And I kept thinking, I'm gonna text you. I thought of you, and I thought of my wife. I thought about all people who would say really good things. I don't call up any former employers and ask them, but just name a thing. Tell me a thing that you think is good about me or that you admire about me. And it was I didn't do any of that because I knew ultimately what I needed was to hear it from God and to have God kind of direct me in the way that I could learn it in a way that it would stick with me. Like most things in life, you don't hold on to what you don't earn. If somebody just gives it to you, you don't earn it. You don't value it.
There's no sunk cost. Yeah.
So I needed to get in there and dig around and figure all this out and get it going the right way, which I was able to do and have been pretty successful so far. Like I said, it's only been a few days, and it's okay, learning to roller skate. But it's man, that's a daunting task.
Yeah.
It's like in the old houses we used to own, going after the wallpaper.
Oh man,
it's just
the layers.
There's more layers there. It's insane.
And then you get real aggravated, and all of a sudden you see laugh because you've scraped all the way past the plaster because you're so mad. I'm getting this off. Anyway, yeah. So that's good stuff, though. You have to know who you are. Yeah, because when it comes to I'm one day into being the type of guy that I want to be, and I've got other things I want to be as well. But those are the things.
Projects.
Yeah. Well, and two of them, and you hit me up last week, I think, with this one, and I've made more of a conscious effort now that whenever I hop on over here and play a couple of rounds of Halo, I don't play Halo anymore. I lift weights, and during my rest periods, I'll play a game of Halo.
There you go.
So that's what I've been doing. So I got some space over here, and I'm just
stuff,
working on some arm stuff and doing some stuff. And game's getting ready to start. I'm done with that set. I'll wait till the next rep, and I'll come over here, or I'm done with those reps, and I'll wait till the next set, play a game. So yeah, so I've become and that's been about a week since the last time we talked. And then today I got up, and I get up occasionally when I'm supposed to, I'm not a big sleeper inner guy, but getting up, I want to be up early. I want to start the day before anybody else does in my household anyway, because I feel much better. I can get my reading done, get my prayer done, get my journaling done, get my whatever done, and then by the time Brighton's ready to head out to school and Deborah's up and all this other stuff, it's like, hey, now I've got the day, I'm already ready. I've already got a lot of that thing in the past. I've already got a cup of coffee down me, feel pretty good. So it's only been one day. So
more power to you, buddy.
Take it, David. But I got a game plan. I know who I am now. And because I know who I am, I know when I'm presented with a situation, Like, for example, if someone calls me, in the next hour and says, "Hey, I wanna hop on and play Halo with you." Like Zach, Zach and I played Fortnite the other night together, and so if he calls me up, and he says, "Hey, I'm gonna jump on at 11 o'clock and play some Fortnite. You gonna play with me?" I have to go, no, because the type of guy I am gets. I know you heard me say play with me, and so you lost it.
Just go on with what you're doing.
I'm trying. I heard it too.
We don't have to edit my thoughts out, so it's all good.
I heard it too.
It's
I was
good
like,
too, because I
he's
watch
not
it
gonna
in
let that
editing, and I'm
go.
like, there are things
He's
that,
not.
like, you'll
he's
say
not gonna let
something,
that
and
go.
I'll look at me to see if I'm going to say something. I'll see my eyes go.
And you hear it.
Like
You
I'm
hear
holding in
it.
a fart or something.
So anyway, you get my drift. I have to, because I know who I am,
You pay
who I've
prices,
decided to
man.
be. I paid the price, and I'm like, no,
you
because I've
use
got to
I
be. Yeah, I've got to be in
fully,
bed. I got to be asleep.
fully back not only what you do, but the strategy employed. Like,
Right.
I use all kinds of tricks like that on myself. Well, I told you about, like, just saying you don't have to do it again, or say, okay, you can do that, but first you got to do this. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, you, or putting the prize at the end of the workout. Put some
Yeah.
little, that rest period or whatever. That second cup of coffee is waiting for you
Right.
at the other end.
It all comes down to the who. Who do you want to be?
Well, and knowing
What
yourself.
do you want to be?
Know who you are. Know where you
Yeah.
want to be. Being
Yeah.
a before and
Yeah.
after picture.
So yeah, it's that roadmap. If you have to have a map to know where you are and where you're going. If you want to go somewhere, you have to know where you are first in order to get there. So anyway, blah blah
This
blah.
will be
everybody.
great. Last episode was like train tracks, and this one will be like roadmap.
Road maps and train
Are they
tracks.
going on another trip?
No, we
Yes.
covered
The
flying.
journey of self-discovery.
We covered flying too, because we quoted
Oh,
Maverick.
man.
So we
If
covered all.
only
Just
we could get some boats in here.
we got to get some ship happening here. Ba-da-ba. So there's two other questions
Okay.
that go along with that. Okay, so we talked about, just to kind of wrap up, we do what we do because of what we think. But you do what you do, and this is you're saying this to yourself. You do what
Right.
you do because of what you think of you.
True.
All comes down to the self-image. All comes down to what you're feeding yourself, what you're telling you, who you've decided to be. So when you're presented with a situation to make a decision, there are three questions to ask yourself, and the first one is, what type of person am I? Who am I? So if I'm presented with a situation to play Fortnite at 11:30 at night, I have to decide, what type of person am I? Am I a late night stay up?
When we're talking about change, this is not the type of person you are now. This is the type of person you see yourself being, the person you
Right.
want to be.
Right.
Yeah.
But there are two other very important
Here we
questions
go.
that you
The next
have
question.
to ask yourself. But we're out of time on this episode.
Cliffhanger! Cliffhanger!
I've done it to you. Oh man. But we're grateful that you joined us today on this one, as we always are, and we hope you join us next week, because we're gonna tackle
The
at
other
least
two questions.
The other two questions, at least the next question. Maybe it will take us a lot longer to
And
hash that one out.
You know what else is awesome? We're not going to have to sit around going, well, what do you want to talk about now?
Yeah. So next week when you see us,
Two more questions.
We'll still be in the same shirts, because we're just gonna do a segue and keep talking about this, because that's
Don't
what
go
we do.
changing, trying to please.
Don't go changing. Anyway, hey, thanks for joining us this week, and remember, hit us up.
Comments, you people.
Please let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what your thoughts. Let us, if you've got some input, or even if you've got some what's that, pushback. Yeah, we're not afraid of pushback. Come on.
Yes, criticize us, please.
Yeah, we're men. We're not afraid of pushback. We're not afraid of not afraid
of push-ups.
Not afraid of mispronouncing words. Not afraid of criticism. So we're not asking for your criticism, but let us know what you think.
So many social media possibilities. Please, won't you enjoy one?
Yes.
In our absence. Until next time.
Yes.
Until next time.